Good morning, students. Yesterday we discussed about motion and rest, and motion and rest both are related to each other. Most of the motion are complex, you know about this. Some objects may move along a straight line path, which is known as linear or straight line motion. Others may follow circular path or rotate, which is known as circulatory or rotatory motion. And some objects may vibrate. You can take an example of a cell phone, which is known as vibratory or oscillatory motion. So linear motion or straight line motion is the motion in which body moves along a straight line path. We can take an example of a body which is falling towards the earth in the downward direction due to force of gravity. In circular motion, we can take an example of a fan, the motion of the fan, or we can take also earth. We can consider earth which is rotating about the sun. And vibratory or oscillatory motion, the pendulum which moves in to or fro or back and forth direction. You also understand yesterday what is reference point. Any object can be located. The position of the object can be easily considered with the help of reference point and its direction. Let us take an example of a straight line path in which body moves in a straight line motion. This is the origin. I take it as my reference point, and if the body moves in the right direction, its position will be in the positive direction, and if it moves in left direction, it will be it can be easily mentioned with the help of a negative sign. So straight line motion, we can consider the motion of the lift and already discussed freely fall body. Now, to understand the motion, we must know what is distance and what is displacement. First, let us discuss about distance. Distance, it is simply the length of the actual path. Like this is the path and the length of this path is given 4 meters. So if a body starts from here and moves in this direction and reached this point, it covers 4 meter distance. So the length of the actual path followed by the body during its motion. किसी भी बॉडी की मोशन के दौरान जो पाथ फॉलो करती है और उस पाथ की जो एक्चुअल लेंथ होती है, this is known as distance. Like this example, body is at A and it moves 4 meter towards B and then 3 meter towards C. So total distance covered by the body is 4 meter plus 3 meter. This is 7 meter. Now come to this point. The body is at A and it moves towards B, then C, then D, and finally reached at E. A is the initial position and E is the final position. So total distance, length of this path, which is covered by the body. So total distance covered by the body is 9 meter. And again, if a body moves from A to B, B to C, C to D, D to E, and then turn back and towards F. So A is the final initial position and F is the final position of the body. So total distance covered by the body is 68 meter. So we can simply understand with the help of these examples that the length of the actual path followed by a body during its motion is known as distance. Okay, fine. Now distance depends on path. It depends on path, not the position. Position means initial or final position of the body. And distance traveled by the body can never be zero or negative. If a body moves, it covers some path, and if it covers some path, then it has some length. So it cannot be zero or negative. Understand? Okay. Now let us discuss about displacement. I have written here shortest distance. Why shortest distance? Let us understand this concept. Displacement is the shortest distance, or we can say straight line path between the initial and final position. Here we discuss about the path. Here we are discussing about initial and final position, और उनके बीच में भी हम क्या डिस्कस कर रहे हैं, इट मस्ट बी अ स्ट्रेट लाइन पाथ. Look at this. The body is at A, and if it moves towards B through this path, this is the distance traveled by the body. And if I want to know what is the displacement of the body, then I'll do, I'll just draw a straight line path between A and B, and this is the displacement of the body. Understand? So displacement is the shortest distance, or we can say straight line path between initial and final position of the body. So it depends on the position, not the path followed by the body. Let us take an example of this. Body, let us consider body is at position A and it moved towards B and then towards C. So total distance covered by the body is 7 meter. Now the body is at C. This is the final position and this is the initial position. And now I have to find the displacement of the body. What I'll do, I'll just draw a straight line path between A and C. Now this is like a triangle, so I can easily calculate the value of AC. How can I calculate? This is like a right angle triangle. So what I'll do, AC square is equal to AB square plus BC square, and I can easily calculate this value. Now if a body moves in a semi or we can say hemisphere path, so and R is the radius of this sphere, so body moves from A to B through this path. This is the length, this is the path covered by the body. And what is the displacement? A to B, so R plus R, total diameter, so AB is equal to 2R meter. So if a body travels straight line path without any U-turn, then what happen? Distance will always equal to displacement. Here also I can easily calculate by drawing a simply straight line path here. Okay, and if I'll draw a straight line path here, I can easily find the distance or displacement of this A to E. Now let us discuss some properties of displacement also. Displacement does not depend on the path, it depends on the initial and final position of the object, and that must be a straight line path. And if initial and final position are coincide with each other, means a body moves from here and then after covering some distance it again return back to A, then its displacement will be 0. Like I started moving from my home, and after traveling some distance I again reached at home, then what will be the displacement of mine? Displacement will be 0 because my initial and final position are same. So displacement will be 0 if initial and final position of the body coincide with each other. Okay, now what is the difference between distance and displacement? That is going to be discussed in the next lecture, but I want to tell you something. One, distance is a scalar quantity, but displacement is a vector quantity. Both distance and displacement have the same units. Like if it will measured in meter, it also measured in meter. Distance traveled by the body cannot be 0 or negative, but displacement can be 0, it can be positive, or it can be negative. Understood? Okay, so today we discuss about types of motion: linear or straight line motion, circular motion, vibratory motion, and also discuss about some examples of all these type of motion. Distance and displacement, it is the length of the actual path traveled by the body, it depends on the path of the path traveled by the body. Displacement is the shortest distance between initial and final position of the object, and it can be 0, it can be positive, or it can be negative, whereas distance can never be 0 or negative if body moves. Understand this concept. If a body moves, it cannot be 0 or negative. Thank you, beta.